All right, roll call. Katie Reese here. Ken Hutchinson,
Here.
Alderman Brian Johnson, Mr. Chuck Yang. Okay. And last but not least from our members, Mr. Alex Zacharias.
Hi.
Hi. All right. And then liaison representatives, Beth Kowalski.
Present.
Thank you. Rizal Piguero Almonte. Sadie Wilson. And it looks like Tim Perlwitz is with us on Zoom.
Present.
All right. Moving on to the approval of the agenda.
I move to
Second.
approve.
All in favor of approving the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Now we approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And that brings us to regular business. And we'll hand it over to Laura to introduce our first application.
So we received 6 applications this month. Our first one is Music Saved My Life Audio Recording and Digital Arts Program, presented by Shua Lee and Urban Cultural Arts Center. The applicant is partnering with Urban Cultural Arts and Events Center and is proposing the project which focuses on audio recording and setting up a digital arts program at Urban Cultural Arts. The free 16-class course is going to be offered for 2 sessions and available for 6 students each session, and would be covering a variety of material, including learning about audio recording, digital audio, and audio engineering, and kind of mixing and yeah, I see Alex. Alex,
I have a question. Can you just remind me about what qualifies what we're looking for? Is this public art, meaning that it has to be accessible to the public? Are we still in that same theme, or I just want clarity?
they aren't charging for the classes that they're offering, so these would be a series of free classes offered through their program, which, similar to other programs that we have already funded, we aren't strictly thinking of public art in the sculpture and mural sense. It's making arts accessible. And based on the grant guidelines, we do accept programs that focus on setting up educational courses, script writing, let me pull it up here. Yeah, developing curricula, digital learning modules, workshops, resource development, that sort of thing. That is within the guidelines.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And we do have them present in person, so if we want to open up the floor. If you have, I guess, do you guys have any questions initially before we open the floor?
Well, I wonder if, given the bulk of we have more applications today than we've had in the past, and in the interest of getting through them all, maybe we would only open the floor if people have substantial questions, or if people present feel that the information in their application doesn't accurately convey what they're going to do. So could we, and I'm not sure how this works in terms of our rules of order, but could we have a moment or could you share with us the scores? Like, was it a slam dunk and we can just kind of move on, or?
Based on all the scores that I received, they're all fairly competitive.
Okay.
The lowest score that I received had an average of 73 points. So it still is fairly high ranking.
Katie, can I make a suggestion?
Please.
If we just open the floor so that they can answer our specific questions, and then if we want an overall general run through, we can request that of the applicant, maybe.
Okay. I just have to dip out for class at 9:40, and I'm worried we won't get through all these, but I can hand it off to you. So no biggie.
Fair enough. Also, if we do a request and analysis, we can cut it to 3 minutes tops and we can keep people timed up.
Great. Motion to open the floor?
Can I just
Oh, Cheryl?
thing? These aren't additive though onto each other, right? You're individually looking at each one of them and granting it on the merit of the individual application.
That's
So,
correct.
cool, thanks.
And I guess just to ease any concern, we do have enough funds to cover. If you do decide to award all the applicants at the amount they're requesting, we do have enough funds to cover all of them.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, so
Did you make a
Motion.
motion, Katie?
I'm making a motion to open the floor.
Second.
All right, all in favor of opening the floor?
Aye.
All opposed? The floor is open.
You guys can come to the table if you want. If you can just state your name and address for the record. And then feel free to share your project, share your story.
Right. Feeling important right now.
Should we say 3
We
minutes,
are.
Katie?
I'm a coffee.
Yeah, in the interest of time, could we set or kind of shoot for a 2-minute summary or a 2-minute kind of?
Well, good morning, y'all. My name is Shua. I am the one who kind of gave the idea to my good friend Tasha here at Urban Cultural Arts. I've been working with them for probably about 3 or 4 years now, doing filming and filming music videos and kind of networking with younger teens and artists, local singers, rappers. It's given me a big vision on just kind of giving them an outlet to express themselves freely as music. Every day we listen to music. Music definitely brings people together. So the center is a creative arts building. So it's painting, singing, rapping. We try to bring everyone. It's not just one age group, it's everyone. So I kind of, being a graduate too at NWTC for digital media, I kind of wanted to pursue this and kind of have a center or have a place. And this is the place that I found for this program. So I think it'll definitely benefit the whole community. So it's for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, can you also say your address?
Oh, my address?
Yes,
My own address?
yes.
Oh. 4551 Trellis Drive, De Pere, Wisconsin, 54115.
I'm Latasha Greenleaf. I'm the founder of Urban Cultural Arts and Event Center. Our address is 906 East Walnut Street, right here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Did you need my home address too?
That'll work.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
So, in reviewing your application, it looks really great, and I'm excited about the work that y'all are doing. The one question that I had is, you said that there was going to be 6 teens selected for the program. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do you select those? Yeah, per class. How do you select the teens, and like what's the process for recruiting students?
I think my process right now is I want dedicated teams. I don't want just, I love music and then 2 days later you're dropping out. I don't want that. I want dedication. As much as I put into the program and how I grew up learning music and learning this field, I want that dedication as well. So there'll be a screening process, interviewing, as well as, just a slight interview, nothing terrorizing or anything like that, but how we're gonna find these kids in the community. We'll probably do like a meeting or something like that.
Are you going to high schools and things like that?
I have a close relationship with the staff at East High School, as well as Washington as well as Washington Middle School. So I do plan to talk to, actually I already have kind of put that in the works, as well as We All Rise, to see if they have some students that they feel that can really benefit from this program.
Awesome.
Great.
I can recommend, if you're looking for youth, to reach out to youth organizations. There's quite a few out there, as a resource, like the Boys and Girls Club, or Big Brothers Big Sister, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of good organizations that are looking for programs like this.
Definitely.
I had a quick question. I noticed that on the proposal, you have $1,600 per session for a fee in the total budget line, you have $2,200. Should that have been $3,200, or are you reducing the fee for instruction?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Tim, could you state the question again?
So in the proposal, you list $1,600 per class for instruction, per session. But in the budget line item, you have $2,200. So is there a reduction in the charge per class, or should that have read $3,200? In which case the budget's slightly off.
I think that,
Can
when we
you
put the
point
budget,
out what page this is on?
Page 11 of the agenda packet.
I think that when we did the budget, we just kind of reduced it. Because I am gonna be a part of that class as well, just learning, everything that he's teaching to the kids. So that I can have that knowledge and pass on to future classes and stuff, and I'm gonna be at the center anyway, so. I think we just reduced it. Instead of him just having a different assistant, which he may have another assistant as well, but.
So then with that said, is the assistant line item not necessary, or is that still necessary with the variable opportunity to have that position there?
The assistant would be, I definitely will need an assistant, especially with 6 students. With setting up equipment, starting programs, any materials that I need help with, definitely assistant would be great. So
Yes, to answer your question.
I'd like to follow up to Kent's question, and I'll echo Kent's enthusiasm. I think this project is really exciting, and I love thinking about what it might do for Green Bay and youth, and just like imagining 10 years down the road where you all are this hub of, anyway. But I'm a little concerned about, like, this is $10,000 for 12 students, and I know it sets you up to do this kind of programming for a long time. So I wonder if you consider committing to running more classes or increasing the class size slightly. Or, I see you're buying 6 microphones. Could it be that you have 3 and people work in pairs? Like, is there a way that this program could reach more people than the 12 you're currently committing to?
yes, so my idea, this is just a beginning step. So I'm kind of learning the process myself. But this program, I want it to be yearly. I would do it all day if I wanted to. This is how much I love music. So I definitely want other kids, not just this one time, every year, maybe 4 months out of the year, always teaching music and being there for the youth and teens. So
It's set up to be a reoccurring program.
yeah.
Okay, so beyond the 12 that are listed in the application, there's like free classes would continue?
Correct, yep.
The program will
Great.
restart and continue to restart and with 6 other kids. And then as the interest grows and as the kids are learning, then we would like to put a digital program, the second level, to teach them a different level to take them to the next extreme of the program.
Great.
So
Carol.
with that said, what's the revenue
Yeah.
process to continue on beyond this? If you have roughly $2,000 a session, and this is a free program, to sustain this moving forward, do you have a plan in place to continue that?
Yes, as a nonprofit, I intend to continue to fundraise, look for sponsorships, and look for different grants to help support these programs. So just continue growing as we continue the programs, then we can show the community that this is a need and a want for the community, for our kids, and it'll help keep them off the street, giving our team something to do. So I really believe that I can get the community to stand behind us to keep this an ongoing project.
Will
Sharon?
the,
I have
oh,
a
you go
question.
ahead, Joe.
Where will the equipment live when this program's over? Is
That was
like
my
a
question.
lot of equipment that's
Cultural Arts. It will live at the Art and Event Center.
That was my question also, sure.
Other questions from the floor?
Katie, I
Okay.
I think your question was good. I don't know if we got an answer for this, but, we talked about the 12 students for this program, which is a $10,000 grant, totally get it, you know, having to buy the equipment. But is there any way to increase your class size to get more people involved, I guess, in your classes? With this $10,000 grant money, I think the question was.
Increase the class.
Well, and Cheryl, let me
Mhm.
interrupt right quick, because I think what we're thinking about is the timeline, like the money has to be distributed by a certain time from our end. But for you all, the timeline of this project could extend for a while. And so maybe is that getting to your question, Cheryl?
Nope, I just wanna serve more people with money.
Yeah, so if we do this longer than the 2 sessions that they have, this is the we, then we can serve more people. So either we increase class size, which I'm hearing them say they'd rather not do to focus on kind of one-on-one skills, or it has a much longer, like you commit to 8 sessions instead of 2 or something like that.
Within the time frame, I guess, right? Like, is there a way to say, yes, we're gonna do 4, you know, within this grant? Compared to in the future, we plan to do this? I would just like to see maybe more of a commitment to serve more people.
We do have it scheduled seasonal. The only we're just gonna take like 2 months off before we start the program again. But as we said, it's definitely gonna be a reoccurring program. We just didn't want to run it in the winter time because of transportation issues and things like that. But we definitely wanted to do it spring, fall, and summer in the coming years to come. So that's one way we can continue to reach more kids. We can see if we can get more kids in a room. We really didn't want to have too many kids at one time because it becomes just difficult to have that one-on-one with them and make sure that they're retaining the information that they're learning. And so that's really why we didn't want to do too many kids at one time. But we can probably get 2 more, I'd probably say, per class, but I wouldn't push it.
I wouldn't, just teaching everyone like directly, just information wise, I just don't wanna bombard them with too much in one room. We all know how little kids are in one room, they're crazy, and especially with age groups. So I had an idea with 2 age groups, younger group from ages, what was it, like 10 to 13 or something like that, and then the second group be the older, the teens, younger teens, the older teens, because they'll learn faster than the younger ones. So 2 different classes. I think 6 is well enough as we start, but maybe I'm up for it. If you could throw 20 kids in one room, I'll teach them all. So yeah,
It's gonna be tough to do that though, with the equipment
I
that
have
we
an assistant right here, so.
Don't do 20 kids. That's madness. But let's talk about, so I think the question for us as a committee right now is like, are we set to approve this? Or do we want to do kind of as we've done with other applicants of like, we'd like you to just revise this part of the application and clarify how you're going to serve more people and when? Cheryl, does that speak to your concern?
I guess that's just a little bit of my concern with the number of people served with the grant amount.
Does anyone on the committee have strong feelings either way, how we go forward?
That sounds good to me.
Which one?
I think if they were able to revise with a little bit more of a objective narrative of the future events coming down the pike, that I mean, I think the application is strong. I'd be in favor of it already, but that would provide a little bit more continuity, which would be good.
I'd also maybe, if while we're talking about amending, love to see some specifics about where and how you're going to recruit. It sounds like you two have connections and a plan, but I think being really deliberate about that being inclusive and not just like, oh, it's friends of my kids. So if that could be in the grant, that would also help me feel really more confident about the access that you're providing.
Fine.
Could we do, as we've done before, where you all would make these minor edits, resubmit to Laura, and Laura would approve it, kind of acting in the interest of the committee, and then report to us? And I guess we need to close the floor now. Is that right?
I think we can keep the floor open ongoing
Okay.
until the end of the application process.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
do you want to? Did you say you want to do this individually, Katie? Like each one you'd like to vote for? Is that Is that what we'd like to do, or do we want to do one big motion at the end? Based
I
on the
think
conversation?
let's vote individually and just kind of knock them out as they come, because I think
Yeah.
there'll be nuances to others as well.
I'll make a motion to approve this application based on the information as just stated.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And I guess we should have closed the floor. So motion to close the floor.
No, you don't need to close the floor. You can.
Oh, okay. Oh, we keep it open. I got you. Oh, all right. All right. Well, so if you all will
Thanks, Em.
keep
Thank
in
you.
touch with Ryan,
Thank you, guys.
thank you for your time. Okay, and that brings us to our second application. Kasha Huntowski on behalf of the Neville Public Museum Foundation.
Right. Cash on behalf of Neville Public Museum Foundation has come forward with the program Neville Public Museum Accessibility for 2023 through 2024. In a nutshell, they are hoping to use these funds to assist with scholarships for their, what sort of money for?
School tour program.
Thank you. As well as helping fund their free Explorer Wednesday projects and take-home kits for families. I know initially we had I had reached out to you previously about these funds. Neville is obviously located in Green Bay, but you guys serve Butler County as a whole. So there was just some questions about the schools that you're serving, the organizations that you're kind of incorporating in there as well. We have the floor open, so.
Yep.
We do.
And can you just state your name and address? for the record?
Absolutely. Kasha Huntowski, 1219 Law Street, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the location is 210 Museum Place. My name is Kasha Huntowski. I'm the foundation director, and the one thing I always like to tell everybody, the difference between the county side and the foundation side is the county takes care of the collection and the building and all the things, but they don't fund anything you don't think a county would fund. So the foundation comes in because we have to raise funds for the exhibits, the programs, all the accessibility scholarships for different places. And we definitely want to make sure there's access. As everybody knows, the Green Bay Area Public Schools budgets are really tough right now. The county budget is really tough right now. And they have to charge a field trip fee. So we come in and we cover Title I schools. So any schools that are low income in the area. We do currently serve 82% of our Title I's are Green Bay Area Public Schools. But for this funding, we can allocate it to Green Bay Area Public Schools only for the field trips. For Explorer Wednesday, that's every first Wednesday from 9 to 8. We are free to everyone in the county. Currently, 88% of the people that attend that are from Green Bay. Mainly because we're on the bus route, they can walk, it's super close for families. So we would be able to 100% control the field trip portion and make sure that only went to Green Bay, Curative Connections, Civil Hop, CP, anything in the area. But for the project kits, just to make sure that we weren't not letting some of the families come in, we wouldn't want to keep that 12% that isn't Green Bay away from the kids. Because during COVID, working with the Boys and Girls Club after school program, we found that a lot of these families don't even have like scissors or glue sticks or crayons or anything in their households. So we started actually with extra funding supplementing these kits so they could hang out in the museum for hours, which is for a lot of the kids, the only time they get that access to arts. So we want to make sure that's there for everybody, but we also wanted to make sure that they still could be creative at home with supplies that they didn't necessarily have otherwise. So that is what we're asking for today. We're asking for covering 1,500 kids in the Green Bay Area Public Schools to be able to come to a field trip and just learn a ton about our history and art and culture. And we're asking for $100 to go towards kits for 12 months of our Explore Wednesdays.
Thank you. The floor is open.
Tasha, can you, so $100 times 12, right? Because, okay. So that's $1,200 for the kits.
And a lot of the kits, Kent, they have, like I said, glue sticks, beads, scissors, like we really, for a while we were doing just supply kits. So a family could take a supply kit and then there's directions and different things to do a specific project.
Yeah.
That month.
The kids get to keep all that stuff, yes?
Yes, they do. It's a take-home kit.
And we do have our educator, she's also on site, so if people want to do activities on site, they can. But then there's also we take home kits.
Got it.
Tasha, how will you fund the, that, was it 18% that, of students that aren't from Green Bay, since these ARPA dollars need to be used for kids in Green Bay? Is the foundation going to pick up the balance of that for those kids, or?
As a fundraiser, I'm always out looking, and I've gotten this in the past. But during COVID, it was kind of wiped out because my board decided that they didn't want to just do Title I. They wanted to help all the educators that were home, and they wanted to help all the families. So we did have a little bit of a fund, and COVID and the school budget cuts have really just diminished it. So I'm back out hoping to replenish all of those funds. So there is a request out to another local nonprofit that will hopefully cover the rest of the county. And we actually even go outside of the county when it comes to low income and Title I, but we approve them as they come through. So the teachers do have to call and ask if there's funds available. So we know exactly what school, how many kids, so we track all of that.
Tim?
Just a quick question. This is more to Laura, I think. I understand how the take-home kits meet the criteria for the grant, like the base criteria, but the way I'm just reading it, and I could be misreading it, it just says like performances, presentations, workshops, creation of artwork. I feel like the field trips, I fully value the Neville, and I think the entirety of the operation there, just clarity on the grant as it's stated, is this within that scope?
In my opinion, I believe it is. It's increasing accessibility to arts and culture organizations in the community. And again, kind of, we restructured this grant that it is a wider scope. So previously the grant, it really funded physical projects. Whereas within, not only today, but I mean, the previous ones that we've looked at for this program, we're funding classes, we're funding programs, we're funding all of these different ways that is kind of bridging that gap to accessibility to arts. So it's, in my opinion, I believe it falls in that category.
Okay, yeah, just I'm looking at the way it's written as the description within the submission documentation. It doesn't, it does say there's more than, again, a product, but it does, like, again, it feels like there should be some sort of tangible element to it, whether that's, you know, again, the workshop, it feels more, I guess if there's a way that there's more of an art focus to the field trips that they did or something along those lines that would maybe tether it more to the program, I could see that. That's all. That's just as reading this, and again, support the Neville completely, believe it's a great organization. Zero objection there. Just want to make sure that we're in the spirit of the grant, we're doing justice to the program.
Thank you for bringing that up, Tim. I can go into a little more detail. I didn't want to put in any specific exhibits because we do have the stuff that rotates constantly. So our educator is constantly changing, like we just got candy chemistry, but we also have Blow Up 2, which is the contemporary art exhibit. We had a textiles exhibit up. We have, so it's constantly changing, but when we're doing the grid and figuring out the exhibits, we always have art. We have art rental, we have community art. Right now we're displaying something that was done by a Hmong and Laotian group in the state that's on display. So we try to always have, history is always there. You walk through the ice cave and it's completely there for you. But the art is rotating constantly. Art Annual, which is local, juried art will be up. So anytime the students come in, they're just surrounded by it, which is something that they don't get on a regular basis.
I want to point out that I did have similar reservations. And I did go through, and when I read the public art grant program description, and to what Laura stated, to enhance and increase arts and culture and public art opportunities within the city of Green Bay. And because the Neville Museum has a lot of the history, which is the culture, and then has a lot of art in there too, for access to that. So when I thought about that, and it made sense, but initially at first blush, when I just read through it, it seemed like, well, we're only paying an entry fee to something that wouldn't be accessible. But then that's the same thought if you apply that to any of the training courses, because afterwards, in order to pay for the venues of all these training places, they have to charge a fee in order to be able to afford that, or come up with other funds or other funding to cover that cost for rental. So I think it's fairly similar in that aspect. At least that's what my take on that was. So I agree. I had the same notion initially when I first reviewed it, but then it took a while for me to keep on thinking of this over and over again until I came to my conclusion.
And a lot of that does actually go to pay for. There is a professional educator and we have volunteer community docents that are trained to help with all of these field trips. So they aren't just coming in on their own, they are being guided and led.
Shall we vote? Or do we want to discuss any other points?
Motion to approve.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
Thank you,
So
guys.
approved.
Thank you.
So next, our application number 3 comes from April Beisinger. And I'm just gonna go on record and say that April is a friend and colleague, so I will excuse myself from discussing this grant, although I did not help her prepare it.
She did not, we purposely did not talk about it.
Oh, you're there.
I am here. You know, I'm not shouting down the hallway at you.
Can you have your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is April Beisinger. I'm at 1028 Division Street in Green Bay. The price for admission for weaving is expensive because looms are expensive. The lowest price loom, floor loom, runs about $1,200, and that is one with the basic bells, no bells and whistles to it. Even if you get it on the secondhand market where I bought my looms, they're still cost prohibitive for a novice. And so the reason I put this together is because I want people to have the opportunity to try out a loom on a simple weave before they take the plunge into a very expensive hobby. I do have one addendum to the application that I have arranged space with Evergreen Theater's Black Box for the first set, the December set of workshops. I'm still working on the second set though, because just finding a inexpensive place in Green Bay is sometimes difficult. GVCT might help me.
So you're gonna be housing your first classes at the Evergreen Theater?
Yes, and their space is on Marsh Street. Morrow Street, thank you. Thankfully, Evergreen Theater is here behind me, so they can help me remember where the places are. So it's on Morrow Street.
Okay, thank you. The one looming question that I had is, this is $6,200 worth of equipment. Obviously, we're not in the business of financing, personal stuff. So who owns the looms and where are they going to stay so that they can maintain kind of this, shared ownership kind of concept?
Well, they would be housed in my basement when I'm not teaching workshops. I don't have a studio space I teach at St. Norbert. I don't have a studio space at St. Norbert to house them. And this is a ongoing project. I only wrote it out to January because the semester starts in late January and I can't plan workshops while I'm teaching for the most part, just because of my workload at school. I have plans in the summer to offer longer workshops. These are just one day, put your hands on the loom workshops. Traditionally in the workshops I've taken elsewhere, they've been 4 to 5 days long so that you learn from beginning to end, from warping to the end of the project, like finishing a weave. So they've been 4 days. So that would expand during the summer. I have plans to offer ones like that. I also have ideas about taking looms into, because the looms that I want to purchase are highly portable. They fit in the back of my SUV. I have one of these looms myself that will be added to the pot of looms. So taking them into places like the Boys and Girls Club, into different centers in Green Bay, so that students, children can actually put their hands on looms, because you can't really screw up a loom too much.
I just want to also offer one point of order to Kent's comment. We are not in the business of funding studios, but we've absolutely funded projects where the applicant as an individual kept materials. For example, the Chromebooks and iPads that we funded at the start of it. So just point of order.
This is a concern. I mean, I take your point, Katie, that we've funded, supplies and stuff, but this is a pretty, and I realize that, April, you're in a bit of a pickle because you don't have space. Obviously, if there was a space, have you checked with the Art Garage? Is that potentially, or NWTC's Business and Artisan Center?
I've emailed the Art Garage. I've not received a response. I have checked, I've been in the Premiere, and it's a little cost prohibitive there, and it's a little too open to store this kind of equipment. But I can reach back out to them again about having a space for these to reside.
Tim, did you want to add to that?
I mean, I don't have create a conflict, but I mean, there is the opportunity too that we also offer space within our facility and we offer art programming as well. So if you do need to contact, we have other opportunities within the community between myself or other like organizations. So there's alternate spaces as well. I think you could explore within that mindset.
If I can add, I'm just curious about your outreach, because I know that for many cultures, this type of artwork is part of their culture and it's essential. So I'm just curious how and who you might be serving.
So that is a fantastic question. Finding those audiences is not something I'm really versed in, but I'm wondering if, like, going through a place like the library, because I know library has programming like this, that even if it is just, hey, come, like I said, just come touch a loom for a day, that sort of thing is a fantastic way to sort of see how the mechanism works. And then eventually they could take a longer workshop. I think it's just being present in the community as an opportunity. But absolutely, like, there's a lot of culture that are surrounding weaving, beyond just the floor loom. There's sort of cultures that have backstrap weaving and rigid heddle weaving and tapestry and all of these things that there is vast exploration, as I am discovering in the world of weaving over my last few years of.
Carol.
I have a couple of questions. Can you, first of all, I think the outreach is super important, because really the goal of this money is to try to reach our neighborhoods, our moderate income neighborhoods, to expose folks to art right in certain parts of town. So I think we should work with you on that to make sure that this is right for the right people for the program. But how many, again, I think with the first applicant, how many students are you looking at? Like, what's the reach? How many students will use this program, do you think, within your grant parameters?
So per workshop, I think I can get people through a small weaving project in a day. That's 8 hours of weaving. But that is predicated that it's already warped and ready to go, that they don't do any of the pre-setup. So all of the looms would be set up beforehand. I have one loom of my own that we would be using, plus these other 3 ones. And these again are very highly portable and low entry for knowledge sort of looms. There's a lot of moving parts, but it's not a lot of moving parts for them. So it would be 4 students entire per workshop, and I have 4 set up for December, and I'm working on the other set in January. And then in the summer, for those longer ones, each workshop would have 4 students.
And I think
That'd be about 24 people.
store that.
32.
32.
So I think that's why it's important to store that or have that equipment somewhere. I'm thinking you take this class and you love it. Now what do? You can't afford any of the equipment, it'd be nice to have a place to go where you could partner with another group, right? So you could continue to do it if you wanted to do it. But
April, would you consider partnering with NWTC's Business and Artisan Center? I know they have ample space for that type of thing. I don't know if they have a loom program. In fact, I don't think they do. They have quilting, I believe. This seems like a really great potential collaboration. Similar wheelhouses, and that they could house the equipment and it would be more accessible to folks. Is that something you'd consider?
Absolutely. I didn't even think of that as a possibility.
Also, is there going to be a fee for the students to attend your classes?
For this first run, because I've only done limited, I'm an accomplished teacher of theater studies and I'm pretty good at weaving. I have not married the 2 together. So for this first round, the fee is nominal. It's $50. And that was to defer the cost if I had to rent a space. I can see, as I discovered that second set in January, if there's a fee for the rental, adjusting the workshop fee to be more commensurate with what the expenses are.
This is a question for our group. Have we given money to other applicants who have had to charge their students a fee? This seems like it might be in contrast to like that fee accessibility.
Our first application, the aforementioned digital art person, or one of our first rounds, had proposed working with the Art Garage and charging a fee. There's not, as I recall, nothing in our grant that says that there can't be a fee. However, the spirit of how we've approached this is to maximize access. And so with that first applicant, we said, why don't you use the grant funding to make it totally free for people? As a general rule, and not to April's application specifically, I think there's evidence to say that having a little bit of buy-in decreases your cancellation rate, and that people tend to value things if they have some skin in the game. So not necessarily $50, but maybe $5 or $10. But that's my understanding of what we've seen so far.
And all the materials will be provided for in other workshops I've done. I've had to provide the yarn, and once again, yarn specifically for weaving is sometimes cost prohibitive. I just bought some yarn that I would to run a test of the weaving project, and it was $16 a skein. And people would need probably close to 4 skeins. So this is again a balance of the materials are being provided so that the entry fee can help defray other costs like the rental.
I would like to hear or give suggestions on how we can help figure out as far as the fee is concerned. If it's $50, I know it's going to exclude many folks. And I don't even know if it gives an opportunity to expand at that price. So I'm how can we make it easier for the end user to get access, at least financially?
Yeah,
Well, I have a question back for that. Doesn't NWTC charge for workshops at their spaces? So if I
They do.
wrap this into the programming at NWTC, would they not ask for a fee to be charged?
Potentially, but the grant that you're applying for, they haven't applied for that money.
Okay.
And the money that we're doling out is based on, the COVID relief funds, for people that have been impacted on COVID. So during that whole pandemic, so like maybe this first round, since we're kind of we would potentially be giving you a boost with this $10,000 request. The fees, I think best case scenario from my perspective is that the student doesn't have to pay a fee at all. But maybe that would transition into some type of fee if it does create an ongoing relationship with NWTC.
Tim?
Can we do the same thing we did with the first group, which is to say that this with a few adjustments, maybe exploring some of the other cultural organizations locally and other opportunities, and you can see or other facilities that offer arts programming, they might be able to offer some sort of better rate or no rate to get this program started, that we could revise this to allow that first window to be free, or to your point, maybe $5 just to make sure, because of the directly limited spacing and the commitment needed, to ensure that there's not a wasted opportunity there. That if we were to revise this, which I think the program itself is great. I think it's an art form that I don't hear really anyone. I think point to that barrier is obvious. I don't think this is without merit. I think it's more of the everyone else's sort of concern. It's how do you make it truly accessible with any art form? There is a cost, and we understand that the goods going into it do have expense, but if this grant is there to help support that or offset that, then how else can we make sure that it has some sort of sustainable legs to it? So I think with a slight revision, it would be easy to see why we offer it or support it. It's just a matter of making sure that we can truly offer that for free.
So I'd like to add 2 points. So one, we would maybe offer to April the same offer we made to the Urban Cultural Arts Center, which is a resubmission with attention to increased access and number of students served, as well as kind of nailing down some more details of where this happens.
Where the
and then
equipment is housed, yeah.
Yeah, and so to that, April, I wanted to recommend that you reach out to Hands on Deck. They're a nonprofit housed in the South Bay Marina, and they're currently letting some paper makers store equipment there. And so that might be a great place to have the workshops, but I think could be a really great storage spot for you. And they're very much into kind of the handcraftiness. So something to check out.
Excellent, thank you.
Just a correction, on the urban culture, the motion was to approve as is.
What? I thought we asked them to resubmit and run it by Laura Schley, and she would approve and report to us.
Approve as is. When the motion was made, the motion was to approve as is.
I think
I
recommended, which was to have it amended and then approved by
Okay,
staff.
I just, when I heard the motion, it was to approve as is, and so that's what I thought it meant. Was just as is.
No, I believe that was Kent. He was saying, I heard it as Kent was saying, because just prior to him saying that, it was the discussion of having them revise it and submit it to staff, and then that is what Kent.
Okay, as is recommended.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, good catch there. I'm glad that you were paying attention. So the motion then would be to ask the applicant to resubmit, making the recommended changes, and submit to the public arts coordinator for their approval as our proxy, and then they would report out to us. We're all on the same page with that. Okay.
Motion to approve
As amended.
as amended.
All second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. It moves us to our fourth application.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. See you down the hall. Evergreen Theater.
We do have members present, physically. let me. The agenda. Yes, so Evergreen Theater is proposing the project titled Theater Classes for All Ages. The project is focused on expansion of several of their youth classes, which has emphasis on both the performing side and the technical sides of theater. The classes they're proposing are character development for young actors, up to 30 participants for 8 classes. Teaching character development for new and improving directors, that's up to 20 participants total for 6 classes. Vocal training for young actors, up to 30 participants total for 8 classes. QLab lighting design, which is a technical program that a lot of theaters, local theaters use in the area, as well as QLab sound design. Both of those are 20 participants each total for 6 classes. And as I said, we do have members of Evergreen Theater present at the table today. So if you'd like to state your names and addresses for the record.
Cheryl Revelinsky, 1856 Emerald, Green Bay.
Dawn Byrne, 902 Mather Street, Green Bay.
Welcome. The floor is open if anyone would like to speak to the proposal or ask any questions.
Alex, you're muted.
Hi, Cheryl. Good to see you.
Alex.
Can you just describe a little bit of the potential outreach strategies for recruitment?
Certainly. So we currently do, Evergreen Theater has 3 young actor productions each year, along with our summer program. We have had great success in using Facebook, word of mouth, newsletters. The United Way Community Connection is actually a really good opportunity for us. It hits a lot of people. And then now that I know about the Urban Culture Arts Center, I'll be contacting them. That was a new one for me. So this has been a great meeting so far. I've taken a bunch of notes. But we really try to reach out to all areas. We talk to the school districts. We cannot actually put anything into like the actual schools. There's a very strict process for that. So we talk to teachers and we talk to kids in schools and we say, hey, tell your friends. Oh, yeah, yes, and Dawn just said we actually have a very strong presence with the homeschool groups, which there's several very large homeschool groups in the Green Bay area.
I have a question.
Can I follow up with that? So
ahead,
how do you think you'll do your outreach to try to benefit our low and moderate income?
I'm sorry.
How do you try to reach the low to moderate income people?
Once again, because we reach out through the school districts, and we have, we're very close proximity to Washington and to East. So we do have contacts at those schools already. We're over on Morrow Street. So those are walking distance for a lot of kids and we have kids actually walk there. So we also have a very good program for just getting the word out. You know, I mean, I think we've done a very good job with our social media, with our advertising that we've done, and just really giving kids the opportunity to come and perform and learn.
I have a few questions. So from the application I took that you had 15 classes or 15 people per class at 18 classes. Is that correct?
All of these classes are separate.
Right.
Some have 10, some have 15.
Right. I
I
believe
think you said an average of 15 on there.
15 for the character development and the vocal. When we get into the technical, it's a little bit less, and the directors.
Okay.
So the total per each session is 60, and they're proposing to offer 2 sessions for a total of 120.
Okay.
And that would be for these sessions, it would be free for the students?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We would offer them free. And we kind of mirrored this onto, we have a summer program that we offer classes for young actors. And those classes, when we first started it, we said no matter what, it had to be accessible to everyone. So we started it with like, it's a $25 fee. If you don't have the $25, you just say, we need a scholarship, and we say, okay. We also then, this past year, when we had our classes, we set a cap of, for a family even, so if it's a family of 5 or 6 kids, it didn't matter, your max for a family was $100. So we wanted to keep everything accessible for everyone. And I think this year we gave out 6 scholarships.
This to me seems like an application from an organization that has been doing it and doing it well for a long time. They've clear capacity, and what they proposed is very much in line with what they're doing. It seems very reasonable and kind of right in line with what we are looking for. So I'm excited to see this come through.
The only final comment I have is that I know that I was on a study where for youth or young folks that are on the spectrum, that acting is a great avenue for, it's one of those arts that they can participate in. So I like that potential outreach is creating a platform for youth that are a little bit different.
And in our current production, we actually have 3 individuals, young actors that are on the spectrum.
And I know in the past, my niece, she's older now, but she was autistic and even worked with her speech therapist, and it was really remarkable what she was able to do on stage with Evergreen. I also am working with an actor in combination with the collaboration we have with Civic Symphony, who is an adult but is on the spectrum. And we don't discriminate. I mean, you can be in a wheelchair and you can participate in our programs. So
I'd like to make a motion to approve the any further discussion from the floor? Other questions from the committee? Motion to approve the application as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next application comes to us from the Green Bay Community Theater, submitted by Patricia Grimm. They are requesting $9,900 for the expansion of their Readers Theater.
Correct. And if I am butchers, I'm sure you can explain quite a bit more about Readers Theater. But Readers Theater is a program that they've been doing for 2 years now. And involves performers usually standing behind lecterns and reading off of scripts. So it's an easy entry for people who aren't necessarily gifted at memorization, like myself. And they're held at local organizations in the area. We have 2 members present from Green Bay Community Theater at the table, if they'd like to share a little bit more about the program.
Sure.
And then name and address for the record, please.
Patricia Grimm, 1393 Linwood Lane, Green Bay. Packaging the zip 11.
Caitlin Honkanen, 957 Bond Street, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And our physical location for Green Bay Community Theater is 122 North Chestnut Ave, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
So we are actually located in one of the low-income areas of Green Bay. And one of the reasons that we first asked for a grant to do Readers Theater, also known as staged readings. So it's not just, you know, the number of people in a script sitting around a table reading. There's actually a presentation element to what's going on. Maybe minimal props, minimal costuming, definitely acting in terms of vocalization and facial expressions, things like that, right? So the reason for staged readings, it's an easy way for people to come and see something that is not as involved as a full production. One of the reasons that we chose to do it is there are a myriad of plays we would like to introduce to the community that we don't have the ability to produce on our stage. They either just are too much production value or too many people, or just we, from historical sales, know that they wouldn't sell enough to support a full production. So the first Reader's Theater we did, stage production we did, was of Mice and Men. Really difficult to do on a small stage, and a very heavy show that not a huge amount of people would come to see. And we need to have like 1,000 people come when we do a production in order to, you know, sort of break even every year. So we choose plays that we think would inform and educate the community. We charge nothing for staged readings. It is purely by donation, and donations aren't required. It's very, very low request. There's a, you know, a basket when you come in, if you want to donate or not. When we started our first production, I think we had just under 20 people who came. We, again, it's that whole advertising thing. You know, we use our newsletter. We've gotten better. Kit does, she's a manager of the theater. She now does Facebook and Instagram things. So we're reaching more through social media. We're just discussing, depending on the show, are we going to reach out to some of the assisted living homes that can bring a bus full of people in?
We actually started slowly doing that already. I've printed out, I'll print out our own home like poster, and we brought them over, and we've had people, like, the program has been growing, and we've had people actually already start busing over, so.
And we are right across the street from the Fort Howard Assisted Living Facility, and have always let those people know that they're welcome to come. Not just to the stage readings, but for the last 2 years, for sure, maybe 3 years, we have done, for all of our performances, we have one performance that is a pay what you are able. So we're really trying to make theater accessible in as many ways as we can to the community as a whole. 2 more things about this grant specifically. I, given the age that I am, know a number of actors and actresses who can't perform anymore, like for a regular show, because of the memorization. It's a big deal. And Reader's Theater staged readings allows them to always have that piece of paper in front of them so that they can track what they're doing and still stay involved in this art performance that they have loved doing their whole lives. The other thing we want to do is bring in what we call blended shows. So shows that include both young actors and adults. In that I have found, and I'm sure Kit has as well, young actors learn so much when they work with older actors about the etiquette of community theater, and also the fact that this can be an avocation for your life. It doesn't have to be a professional choice. So it's something that, it's an art form that you can continue to be involved in until you're 70 or older.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? I have a comment. It's exciting to me to see programming that is intergenerational and that specifically speaks to elder citizens, because I feel like, you know, kids are sort of like, they're photogenic and everybody wants to serve them. And I'm really just heartened to see creative cultural opportunities for people of all ages, especially our elders.
This one checked all the boxes for me, and I'm okay with it.
Anyone else? thoughts, concerns, questions?
Motion to approve?
Seconded. All in favor?
All right,
All opposed? The motion passes as submitted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right, our next application comes from Noah Simon. The project is Community Perceptions of the Unhoused, and it looks like Noah is present.
Noah is present.
Hello.
Noah is project partner Cujo, who
Cujo had to
unfortunately
leave.
just had to leave.
Yeah.
They are focusing on funding the kind of beginning phases of research, interviews, script development, and then eventual performances of an original piece focused on the multitude of perspectives of the local unhoused population. So it's really kind of going from initial conversations to production. Assignments of this original work is essentially going to be free to the public with a requested food and or clothing donation to offset the ticket cost. Noah, if you wish to share your name and address for the record.
Noah Simon, 2540 Saint Anne, no E, Drive in Green Bay.
Perfect.
Well, the floor is open. Committee, Noah, anyone want to share thoughts on this proposal?
I just wanted to add one thing really quickly about the ticket price. We have listed a price of $20, but I think that we want to amend the language there to say suggested donation of $20, so that if someone cannot even bring food or clothing to offset the $20 ticket price, they will not be turned away. So the show will be available to anyone who wants to come see it. And we are also implementing a way for people to give more dollars.
Thank you for that note.
if I can,
Go ahead, Alex.
I'm kind of biased. I've worked with Cujo in the past, when I was at the Boys and Girls Club, and just to get him, we had to onboard him and onboard him to be able to work with youth. So he has a rigorous experience in the teaching process for folks of all ages. So knowing that he's on this project, I feel pretty confident that it'll be successful.
Me too.
I want to say that I appreciate that, here you are proposing to make work about a community, and I think most importantly, you are proposing to do that in collaboration with that community, with many different constituencies. And I'm excited about this project and as an example of creative work or scholarship as research, and that kind of like can be healing. It's really interdimensional and exciting. Tim?
I have a couple questions, and maybe I misread this, but I'm not seeing any dollars. I'm seeing dollars going to the research project, of which Noah, you and Cujo would be being paid $20 an hour for research.
Mm-hmm.
Doing those impacted, yes?
Yes, those are the research and development phase of our project is I guess technically 2-on-1 interviews with various people. So we're looking at this whole project through the lens of one event that happened last November. And the idea of the multitude of perspectives. And so the only way to do that is for in-person interviews with these people. Well, not necessarily in person, but interviews with these folks. And so Cujo and I have already met with 2 people. Our plan is to meet with an additional 8 people for a total of 10 to gain perspective on how people perceive this situation. And the idea is that we want to be paid for our times, essentially. in this research part of it.
So, fair enough. And then just for clarity's sake, again, the $20 ticket fee, the funds of that go towards the actors and performers. The donation of food goes to the pantries. Is that correct?
That is an excellent question. Because the funding of that would come hopefully from the Public Arts Commission and other funding sources would pay for the entirety of actor salaries, all materials. The money collected at the door through ticket sales, right? This is like actual money, not talking about food or clothing donation, is intended, although it is not, admittedly not specifically outlined in our application, because I think we're still thinking through, but the idea is to donate the money as well.
So I guess from my own perspective, and I could be reading this wrong, but I'm seeing $8,400 going to poets, writers, and actors. I'm seeing $1,300 to recreate and stage what was an event wherein an unhoused population's items were discarded. Yet within there, I see $0 to those who are unhoused directly within the grant proposal. So it feels a little bit like the optics of this are hard for me to swallow, where I see so much money being dedicated to those telling a story of yet those impacted not benefiting at all. And then the contributions of the proceeds from this performance of their story is going to pantries and not to them in any which way, shape, or form directly, be it in the proposal or through the donation of goods. And again, having worked with an unhoused population through both personal care and then also as a profession, I feel like this is a really rough look. If this proposal was designed to have those individuals learn how to articulate their story, sell that art, that final product, and then somehow benefit from the proceeds of it to help give them the sense of established career and or opportunity, I could see this having merit. But right now, as it reads, it feels like it's an opportunistic sort of moment in time to sort of benefit a collective, which again, it's not to say it's the intent of the spirit of this is not to be malicious. It's just the way it reads to me. It's hard to say that if we propose the project as written, we're not giving, you know, something to the effect of $9,700 to everyone but those who are actually impacted by this event.
I totally hear you, and I think that that's a really good point. So here's my response is that it's hard to quantify the esoteric nature of storytelling. So we can talk about the purpose of this particular story that we're trying to tell, and it goes back to the Brown County Coalition on Homelessness, and you know the blueprint that was put out refers to everyone in the community, everyone. That's the entirety of the population, not only of Green Bay but also of Brown County. We are all referred to as stakeholders, and it refers specifically to the fact that we all have the ability to do something to raise the level of awareness about the fact that homelessness or housing insecurity is a problem that is not specific to big cities, right? That even a town like Green Bay can experience this. So our goal as artists and storytellers in this specific project is to bring the awareness from of these perspectives, and not necessarily, it's not exclusively the perspectives of those experiencing housing insecurity, because that event that took place in St. John's Park affected more than just those people. It also, there is the perspective of law enforcement, the perspective of the municipality, the perspective of private citizens and business owners. The idea is that housing insecurity isn't a problem that only affects people experiencing housing insecurity. We have to perceive it as a problem for the entire community. So what Cujo and I are trying to do as stakeholders is what we can do, which is storytelling, to help our fellow stakeholders understand the nature of the problem and that it's not someone else's problem. that we all have a level of responsibility. And what we're trying to do is to clarify for everyone else, you know, these are real people.
I
So,
appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll just come to this conclusion or conclude my statement. So in terms of the money that is going into this project to pay the artists to make art, it's not our responsibility to solve homelessness. It is our responsibility to amplify the fact that there is a problem of homelessness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like the authenticity within the situation states that there'd be a great opportunity to promote and tell this story without it benefiting a collective that isn't directly impacted as frontline as much as it is observationists. Like, again, we're all stakeholders. In the same time, like to say that as the sort of guiding light, then there would be more opportunity for others to generate income off of this. But I feel like if we're trying to make an actual presentation that has meaning and merit, to me, it would stand to reason that we would utilize those individual voices and find ways in which to promote a product that they have agency in and can learn from.
You know, if I may add, as a documentary maker, I do stories with folks. And one thing that I don't do as an art form is that I don't pay the folks in the process when I'm making these documentaries. But what I try to do is, final project is created, and let's say we have an evening to exhibit the end results, whether it's a film or whatever that presentation is. That then those monies for that at that event allows to create some possibilities, financial support for all those that were in the film. So whatever monies were collected that evening would go right back to maybe those specific folks that were in the film or in the story process. But there's ways around it. But but again, as a filmmakers, you don't go out and do a documentary and say, I'm going to pay you to be on this documentary, which is the way I'm seeing this. But the end story can bring attention to an issue, and hopefully it'll be a resource or a source for more grants that may specifically go back to the folks involved. As long as there's that honor system that you're not exploiting, that's crucial. As long as you're not exploiting folks.
That's definitely not our intention. And to Tim's point, we don't have a specific outlet for the cash raised at the ticket booth. So what you're bringing up, Tim, is a really good thing for us to think about in how that money can be allocated to benefit the population of those experiencing housing insecurity in whatever way that we can do that that's most equitable.
I'm sort of swayed by Tim's point. I think I'd seen you interviewing indigent and unhoused people as part of involving them in the creative process, but I do think we would do well to pause when we consider who's telling which story. So if this were a program where two men were, not two anyone's, were proposing to do a theater production about Menominee women, and no Menominee women were going to be involved in the production, not just the interview, but like in the cultural production, because that's the thing that you're arguing has value. Like, if that's the thing that has value, can there be more opportunities for this key population to be part of it? And I hear you saying there are different stakeholders, but the municipality and law enforcement are not marginalized stakeholders. Like, their voices are well heard. They may disagree, and I realize there's nuance to that, but I think I'm sort of siding with Tim that I'd like to know more about how this could be more collaborative with the people whose story you're telling, and more of an opportunity that directly gives that community agency and a voice.
Sorry. May I respond?
Of course.
I think that I have blamed myself for not being clear about who we're representing in our storytelling. This isn't about homelessness. It's about community perceptions of homelessness and how people experience that. That's the title of our project. So I just want to be super clear about that. I'm not, what I'm trying to what Cujo and I are trying to do is raise a level of awareness of a problem, as opposed to creating something that is for the specific benefit of this marginalized population. So unfortunately, this is, you know, the esoteric nature of it. It's not like I'm offering a class on weaving. That's very cut and dry. It's very clear what that's about. For me to,
I think the product you're producing is clear.
right, but what's not clear is I think is the benefit. Who benefits from this?
Maybe we're calling for it to benefit someone that, and you're calling for it to benefit a different community.
Can I
Right.
ask a question? Where's the venue going to be? So how are you going to make it your mission and the experience to the people?
It is that is an unknown at the moment, but the venue that Cujo and I have talked about approaching is the Tarleton. Because of proximity to St. John's Park, because it is a traditional performing space, and it has visibility in the community.
Ken?
I really appreciate your initial comments, Tim. They really kind of woke me up. Like I mean, the project is outstanding, Noah, and I really hope that we move forward in some regard. But without the suffering of homeless people, there wouldn't be a narrative for this. So how do we honor that suffering, like in a financial way, or you know, with homeless people being part of the production, or I don't know what that would look like, but that's kind of the direction that, you know, Tim's comments have pushed me, is that that's a missing component in this. And I totally take your point, Noah. You're saying like who benefits, and like I think I understand the concept of this is kind of like a learning moment for all of us who are not homeless, and that's might be the intent. Definitely, that's part of it. However, like we need to, I think, find a way to honor, even financially, the people who are being exploited in the circumstance that we've all created, which is homelessness. So, like, I take your point, Katie. You said, is there a way that we can, you know, do that better? Like either financially, maybe setting a goal. Maybe you're setting a goal to raise $5,000 or $1,000 or something like that, that you can benefit directly to a shelter. Or
I guess my question is, how does that $5,000 get dispersed to whom? How does that happen? I don't have.
And that's not what this grant is looking to fund also. So I think we need to be mindful of mission.
I don't know how to disperse money to homeless people. That's not my area of expertise.
That we're not asking you to. We're asking you to like maybe partner with people whose career it is to do that. So,
and that's
like,
what you know, as part of our research, the R&D part of this, talking to Lydia Van Thiel, talking to you know, any of the members of the various nonprofits that have participated in that blueprint, that is how we're doing it. Simply, I don't know. Sorry.
Can I ask a question that might make it, for me, maybe a little bit more clear? I'm just looking at eligible projects. So, regardless of what you're researching, let's say it could be anything. My question would be, where is the performance going to take place? Will it be in one of our eligible neighborhoods, our low and moderate income neighborhoods? Or how will our low and moderate income residents benefit from this? That might be a better, like kind of a better way to look at it, because this is the whole point of these dollars, these ARPA dollars, support the people who have been affected by COVID, you know, and through the arts, right? So how will you reach that population with your product, whatever that is? I mean, I think that's the question we've asked the artist really is, how are you meeting that goal for the program?
I'm not sure I heard all of that.
Cheryl had asked how you look to meet the objective of helping or giving art and culture to our low to moderate income areas and people.
Well, that's part of the reason why we're, thank you for the question. That's part of the reason why we're looking at the Tarleton as a location to perform this piece. And that is also why we want to make the, why we want to make the ticket price essentially free and a suggested donation. We also have another plan to create something called the Mysterious Benefactor Will Call, so that people can actually purchase multiple tickets, so that if someone comes to the theater, says, I can't afford the ticket and I don't have any clothes or food to give, there's a whole bunch of tickets that are available for them to have, so that nobody gets turned away. Anybody who wants to come to see that show is going to see that show, period, regardless of socioeconomic status.
Ken?
So this is a project that I'm totally in favor of. I think you're 95% of the way there, and like I really hope this happens as it is stated. On top of that, the one thing that I think maybe could be improved, and maybe we could approve this with the suggested amendment, would be to find a way to reciprocate, maybe even financially, homeless people and the people who have been affected from the subject matter of the piece. That would be is that possible, no?
Absolutely.
I think actually we need to be cautious here, because our grant, I think that is a noble intention, but our grant has really specific parameters about what we can fund. And so if Noah comes back and is like, and $1,200 is going to go, so it could be $1,200 is going to buy lunch for the 50 people that we're going to interview in St. John's Park over 10 days, like then that's a thing. But our grant funds public art, and so I just want us to be...
I'm not implying that we use any of our grant dollars for that. No, I'm saying like if there's a mechanism in this application outside of the dollars granted by the GBPAC that is intentional toward that giving, whatever that is, that donation fund, whatever that's accumulated at the performances or another way. I'm not implying it at any way that these dollars that we're giving go towards that.
Sure.
That's absolutely the intention. That is
I think this is also I think I'm going back to what I heard Tim say, which is kind of like, this is a story about people who are impacted by a particular event. And I also want to note in the project description, you're talking about interviewing people who are experienced unhousedness, not people who are at that event. So like that would be something I'd look at, but also just
we have interviewed a young man that was present at that event and shot video of it.
Great. I sort of lost my thread, but I think like we were talking about, go ahead.
What do you think what do you think is missing, and what do you think could potentially improve this project?
I just think that the idea of trying to convey this story through this medium doesn't feel like it's the right means to do so. I feel like there's a million other ways you could do this by embracing this story, if the platform is simply to celebrate the sort of nuance that is something tragic that could bring light to many in our community. I feel like this performance feels like it's a great opportunity to get a collective of artists who, in the narrative, in the description, it said these are artists who are impacted by COVID, which again is great. I feel like there's other theater productions. So I think the story you're trying to tell, and not including the people that are being told, a documentary has their stories as the center. it's unbiased, it's removed, it's telling a story of the people. This feels like a reimagining of an event without that. So this doesn't seem like in its narrative, it feels like it's the way in which, especially considering, again, we're talking about the catalyst for this event is the destruction of personal belonging, and we're going to spend $1,300 on staging. Like, just the optics of this feels misplaced to me. Like, I guess that's where I struggle with it. When I look at it as a opportunity to tell and celebrate that story, there's many ways you could do it. Again, creating opportunities in education to write their stories. You have a poet teacher who could be there creating work product with this population to tell stories. You have theater. You could be educating these individuals on how to engage in theater arts. You have pieces. You could generate art of some form or fashion that you could create a gallery display and then sell and create more awareness. There's many ways in which you could go about it. And I feel like this vehicle specifically, to me, doesn't feel like it would be a best interest for funding, as it doesn't feel like it does that end result justice.
I totally agree with you, Tim, that we can do all those things. And I think all of that is awesome. $10,000 isn't a lot of money. I'm sorry. It's just not. And I totally want to apply for other grants to fund theater classes, to fund poetry writing, to learn how to make theater that benefits the community. But we can't make art unless we are compensated for it as if it was a career. If that's not something that if the Public Arts Commission doesn't fund artists in the making of their work, then this is probably not something you're going to want to fund.
I want to direct us back to Cheryl's question, which is where these outcomes show up. And I mean, I think I don't know that I hear Tim's concerns, but I don't know that we are the body to speak to them. Noah, I think you have heard our concerns, and I'm sure you'll be mindful of this as you go forward with the work. But to Cheryl's question, where's it going to be and who will be served by it? So you mentioned the Tarleton, but I think I would like to propose that you resubmit this grant, getting more specific about the outcome, where the performances will be, potentially expanding those performance opportunities, maybe working with some of the shelters and services in the area. Perhaps performances could be there. I don't think you necessarily have to add on, poetry workshops. That's not what you're proposing, but I would like to see more clear evidence in the application that you will be serving the population that this grant calls us to target. That's my proposed amendment.
But what if the population is the entirety of the population of Brown County?
Well, then you're going to have to figure that. I mean, you can't, your target audience can't be the entirety of Brown County, right? That's like when a student says their design project is to serve everyone. And I think you know that. Even as you're seeking to create a well-rounded narrative, this is not for everyone, because nothing can be for everyone. So.
Right. I mean, and we can't perform it for everybody in Brown County. I totally understand. But what I mean and the intention here is to raise awareness from people that don't have an awareness of housing insecurity. That's our goal.
Great. So how are you going to do that, and where, and how many people do you think you'll serve when you do that? Those are the things I'd like to see articulated more clearly in a resubmitted grant proposal. And my suggestion or amendment would be you submit it to Laura. She looks it over, says cool or whatever, and then signs off on it. So you would not necessarily have to come before this body again.
We basically do what we did for several of the other applicants today.
Motion to approve with the amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion approves as amended. Thank you for your time, Noah.
Thank you.
I need to run, so I'm going to hand it over to Kent Hutchinson, and I'll look forward to reading the minutes, hearing what I missed. Thank you all.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, so, item number 7 is consideration with possible action on report from Farland Park Art RFP evaluation team.
Yes, so, the RFP was approved by this commission in July, kind of knowing that there was a very tight timeline on that project. We received one application the first round, so we actually resubmitted it out. We extended the call, and that closed September 26th. Upon that extension, we received 2 eligible applications. The evaluation team met yesterday, and came to a consensus scoring on the proposal that, we're intending to award. So that's why it wasn't included in the packet, because we met yesterday at 8:30, and couldn't meet the
I was like-
timeline to get it in the packet.
Did I miss something? I was like looking through my going through. Are you gonna show us something, via Zoom then?
Yes.
Oh, can I get a motion to close the floor?
Second motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Floor is closed.
All right, are you guys seeing my screen?
No,
No?
wait, now I am. Yes,
I was getting mixed messages. So this is just a snapshot of the proposal that we received. It is called pollinating activities. I guess backtracking to, again, this was for Farland Park. There's already a number of improvements being proposed for that park. Some of them including potential landscape amendments. They're kind of structuring where some of the sports ball courts are located. I'm not a sports person. There's already a number of improvements that are happening in that park. So that was what this proposal, this RFP was to kind of add on top of that. It's in an underserved area in the community. So since improvements are already taking place, the intent of the RFP was to incorporate large scale sculptures or kind of landforms alongside all of those improvements that are already being planned. So the proposal that the team approved is called pollinating activities. From the images, you can kind of see there's a total of 10 sphere towers and 2 large bumblebee sculptures, each kind of measuring approximately 12 feet tall and constructed from stainless steel, aluminum, and automotive paint. Chucking was also on that evaluation team, and I think overall what really drew us to this proposal is it followed a lot of what we were asking for in the RFP as far as something engaging, colorful, whimsical, inviting to the general public. And within that photo, you can also see those little red balls located at the base. And in the images, there's that's the word, hillocks. With the shortened timeline of this project, the artist is proposing to keep the hillocks as is. There's currently 12 hillocks at that site, with the potential to have them slightly adjusted or regraded if funding is available. But I think what was very promising about this one is that it was using the hillocks as they are currently, and kind of dispersing the sculptures throughout, and also incorporating those Goric balls, which are the red interactive play elements that we had requested and kind of emphasized in the RFP.
Which Parks Department already has.
Correct.
I have a couple questions.
His name.
Is the artist local?
The artist is based in Oklahoma.
Okay, is there a subcommittee in, like, public art subcommittee of the parks or something, but why didn't this come to us for the applications?
This RFP application was set up, since it's through the bidding process. We did this similarly for the shipyard murals, where we set up a separate scoring committee to go through the evaluations, score them, and bring the recommendation here to this commission.
Okay, so we're just approving what's already been approved by the parks?
Parks was involved, but also myself and Chuck were on that team.
Oh, you were, okay, okay. Does it, I mean, so we're just saying yes or no, we're not asking questions or anything?
I mean, you can ask questions of the evaluation team. I'm not guaranteeing I can have all the answers at the moment,
Sure.
but,
Anybody have questions?
I talked with Director Ditchite yesterday about this project, Parks Director. And one of the things that we talked about in neighborhoods team was my understanding that, and Laura helped me, but there's something about pollination that happens better when things are higher. So when there are those hills and there are things, right, pollinators.
yeah,
This is the pollination reason. So what the Parks Director said is that some of their thoughts is to actually plant things around these as well, which will help the pollination. So it'd be kind of a project that will have those cool pollinator flowers with it along these pieces. So
I like that, that's cool.
out there, because I said, man, we should be planting some things here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if those are actually gonna be pollinated, those metal balls. But you could try. Laura, could you cycle through some of those other pictures, please?
yes. I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second.
So Cheryl so the intent they're gonna do is they're gonna plant flowers on the top of the hills?
Well, what they thought they would do is they somehow do like kind of a ring that might go around those hillocks of things that, you know, pollinator plants.
I just know that, like Laura was telling me, there's kids that actually run up and down those hills. So I just figured, you know, if you plant something there like flowers, they might just run through them.
Pollinators don't do all of them. I mean, I think park staff will, you know, kind of look at that, because Laura was telling me, right, kids were playing on those, which are cool, right? They're cool things.
Yeah, when I was actually out on site taking photos, for the RFP, there were people that were running up them and kind of using it as their outdoor recreation morning run. And I think that's something for me that really drew me to this proposal, is because the applicant had called out the different colored towers with these different colored balls on top of them, and kind of gamifying them for kids to almost play like tag or I feel old. I can't think of kid games anymore. But like in the proposal, he called out like kids could play like go to the red ball, then the green one, then the yellow one, and kind of really activating the space. So I think that ties into the title as far as pollinating activity, not just drawing attention to the activity of our important pollinators, but also pollinating the activity of users in the space.
Any other questions from the liaisons or commissioners? Great.
Motion to approve.
Seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, cool.
Okay.
Then informational coordinators report and project updates.
So informational items. Kind of mentioned throughout the meeting, tying back into our last meeting in August. I did receive the updated grant materials from Sage regarding their application previously. I do have details I can share with you if you'd like. But based on everything that they've submitted, they really kind of fleshed out the details of the programming that they're going to be offering over the next year, the deliverables that they'll be providing for the funds that they're requesting. I believe it was so many pages and tabs open. Let me pull it up here quick. They're proposing 30 programmed events over the next year, 12 open studios, 12 musicians meetups, and then 8 one-night only exhibits. That's
Awesome. That's great.
That's a little bit more than 30. My math's a little off. And just knowing what they've shared previously, I anticipate they'll probably have more than just those 8 one-night only exhibits. But for the purposes of the grant, they've laid out how they will be allocating those funds, including labor, venue and storage, materials, including canvases, paints, print materials, and those types of things, curation, wages, those associated costs with those events. So I did receive those materials from Sage. Did you want to look at them, or you're good?
That sounds great. Summary is great.
In addition to that, we are planning unveiling of our Mason Street murals during the October 14th Ignite Market. So I anticipate some of you might be already going to that. Details are still being worked out, but we'll probably see you there, hopefully.
It's gonna be awesome. Y'all should go. If you're not already planning.
The last one of the season. And then also another update, the clay tile mosaic that we approved and was kind of completed by the community during Art Fest. That is still in the process of being fired. And most likely they've kind of pushed the installation date back. Most likely that's going to be happening end of this month, early next month. If it pushes into late November, early December, we've already kind of had discussions of maybe just waiting and then installing in the spring, just so that way it isn't put out in the winter right away, and dealing with that initially. And then other than that, our next meeting is going to be October 25th. The same date, same time, same room.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you, guys. We had a lot to go through, and overall, I think the takeaway for me is that we have a lot of artists, a lot of creative organizations in the area that are making it happen, with sometimes very little to make it happen. So I think these dollars are a huge impact, not just to the artists and organizations, but hopefully to our community as a whole.
Agreed. It's so great. This is money well utilized and well needed by the artists in our community. So thanks for putting all these applications in front of us.
Thank you, guys. We'll probably have a few more for our October meeting, I anticipate.
Okay, that sounds great. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Great week.
Thanks, everybody.